Hi guys, Chef Kevin Belton here. Hope you're having a great day. Now, today I want to show you a nice, super easy homemade apple strudel that you're going to be making this a lot. Now, you know, a lot of times when folks make apple pies and different apple dishes, you always hear them using Granny Smith apples. Now, Granny Smith apples are tart. They aren't the type of apple that typically people buy and just eat like this. But you know what's great? Use any apple that you like, okay? I like to buy Fuji's and Galas a lot, all right? Use those. But the reason Granny Smiths are in so many recipes because of that tartness. So when you're making a dessert, you have that tartness with that little sweetness and it balances out. So I have Granny Smith apples. Basically, I've pretty much peeled them for the most part, just dice them up. What I have here, I have a little vanilla and some lemon juice. So I'm going to get that in, give this just a nice toss, just to get them nice and coated. Here I have flour, cinnamon, and a pinch of salt, okay? And here I have a cup of brown sugar. Now I'm going to get the brown sugar in first. And you can use light brown sugar, dark brown sugar. Actually, here I mixed them. I had about a half a cup of light brown with a half a cup of dark brown. You know, dark brown sugar, the flavor, it's just a deeper, more intense flavor. Now, if you're asking, why do I have flour? Basically what this flour does, this flour will hold this filling together, okay? So I'm just going to sprinkle this flour and the cinnamon together, kind of sprinkle it over our apples. That'll help this to get spread out. But as these apples cook and that brown sugar melts and the juice comes out of the apples, that flour is going to hold it together, okay? Now, I don't know if you've ever done this or not. Sometimes when I do apple pies, I also put in a little softened cream cheese because that helps cream it out as well. Here, golden raisins. Now, you can go in with regular raisins. For this recipe, I like the golden raisins, okay? If you have craisins, you know, the dried cranberries, go with that. Go with what you like. Look how easy, but look how good this comes together. You know, you could actually put this, if you want, in a pie crust and bake it off in a pie crust. Now, look at what I've done with our pastry. To make this nice and easy, I've taken a puff pastry sheet, okay? Got it out, let it defrost. I laid it on a piece of parchment paper, rolled it out just a little bit, just to spread it out a little bit. And you notice I took a knife and made cuts along each side. So what we're gonna do with our filling, we're gonna take our filling and put our filling kind of right down the middle. Oh yeah. Just kind of stack it in. You know, that's one of the nice things. It really doesn't have to be perfect. Doesn't have to be pretty. And you see, that's why I call this nice and easy, because of the fact that you can use a puff pastry for this. And of course, if you want, you could make a homemade, all right, crust if you like, but I go ahead and like this one. Now, to close this off, I'm gonna take a little bit of water and just wet the tips. Just a little bit of water to wet those tips to help them seal, okay? That's one thing about puff pastry. Now, don't pull this out too early because of the fact that you don't want it to dry out on you. So all we're doing is crossing over. This doesn't have to come out pretty. And if you notice there are gaps and there's openings, that's okay, because remember, puff pastry, as it bakes, it puffs up. That's why it's called puff pastry. And that little bit of water on the ends will help them to attach and just close up, but that's okay. We want this to ooze out a little bit. I didn't count my cuts because that's one of the neat things is that this doesn't have to look exactly perfect. All right, so now here I have a little egg and milk, and I'm just gonna brush our egg and milk. What the egg and milk wash does, it helps it brown off, gives it a nice golden touch. Now our oven is preheating 400 degrees, and this is gonna go in the oven roughly for 35 to 40 minutes. You know, I'm gonna start checking it at about 25. We want this to get nice and golden brown. You know, all of our ovens are different, so that's why start checking it at about 25 minutes. Now, here's an option. I have a little raw sugar, a little coarse sugar that I'm just gonna sprinkle on the top. And by putting that little egg wash on it, that'll help this to stick, okay? Now, this is a total option. If you wanna put a little raw sugar, a little coarse sugar on the top, that'll just give it that little bit of a crunch as it goes in. So now, I'm just gonna go ahead and move this to our baking pan, which has another piece of parchment paper on it. Get ready. We're gonna put this in the oven, and it's gonna go in the oven, 40 degrees, for about 35 minutes. Now again, there's options here, okay? If you like ice cream, yes indeed, a scoop of ice cream on top of that strudel, or how about a glaze, if you like a glaze. Now, glazes are really simple. What I have here is powdered sugar, I have some lemon juice, and I have a little milk, okay? Now we don't need a whole lot of liquid. I'm gonna start with a little lemon juice. You could actually use vanilla if you like. Start whipping this in, and then add a little milk as I need to get to a nice consistency. So let's start getting some of our lemon juice in. I tell you what, this looks so good. Now here's what's gonna happen. As it bakes, you're gonna get a little bit of ooze. Now, as that cools, it's gonna crystallize and you can snap it off. What I did here, I just slid it onto another pan so it'll cool quicker, because our glaze, I wanna drizzle our glaze over the top, but I wanna make sure it gets totally cool before that. That's why I put it on this other pan to help cool quicker so I can get the glaze on. Remember, let it cool before you drop that glaze on. I tell you what, now, here is the question for you. Glaze, okay, or just the sugar, and ice cream or no ice cream? What are you gonna do? I can't wait to find out, all right? So here's your easy, simple, homemade apple strudel. I hope you try this recipe. Thank you for hanging out cooking with me today. Stay safe. For WWL TV, I'm Chef Kevin Belton, and we'll see you soon.